everyone. Welcome to this week's session of latest in Bitcoin tech. Um, so we are back after 2 weeks of uh, hiatus. We were at the Con Summit, and yeah, this week most of the clubs will be restarting this week. So today we'll just have a look at something called as Hornet. It's a proposal that has been put up um, in the Delving Bitcoin forum. I will go over what are the details about it. It's put up by someone called as Toby Sharp. So let's begin. First, I'll talk about what is the problem that this Hornet is trying to solve, and then it has an architecture of its own. So we'll go through the architecture and try to understand what it is actually trying to do. So the problem that Hornet is trying to address is, even though we talk about consensus rules in Bitcoin, uh, there is no specific, there is no nowhere that consensus rules are written down in a very defined fashion. So the current state is code is the spec for the consensus. So we just have to dig through the code and find out what consensus rules are. Even though for any newcomer who comes into Bitcoin and he reads at the surface about consensus rules being unchangeable and all those stuffs, when he actually goes into the code, he'll be little taken aback because there is no modularity or one single module where he can go and find all the consensus rules that define Bitcoin. So that has been the state so far. Uh, so it's not although like I think that it's because of how Satoshi himself himself shaped the development of Bitcoin, because he wrote the code first and then wrote the document later. So it has always been code first. So so that's how uh, it has been progressing. So what is the problem with this setup? Is that uh, because uh, because of because of all these because of all these because of all these the it is very difficult for any newcomer or even people who are developing alternate clients to clearly or without any edge case risks to develop alternate clients. So this has also been one of the like a uh, major impediment in people coming up with alternate clients, because whatever client you take right now, if you take knots, it's only plays around in the edges. It doesn't rethink any of the 90% of the code. It just only rethinks 10% of the code. That's because uh, rethinking this whole Bitcoin core is a monumental challenge because of all the interdependencies and all the edge cases that are intertwined in a very complex fashion. So this lack of clear specification or modularity impedes alternate clients from being written or being engineered. So that's one thing. And one clear example of why this is a problem is the 2013 there was a fork. So what happened was uh, there was a shift from Berkeley DB to Level DB. Like it is a database that is used to store uh, various things like the chain state, UTXO, and other things. for performance reasons, there was a shift from Buckler DB to Level DB. But although it is on surface, should be it should have nothing to do with consensus. It's a very sort of engineering or operational change that was effected. However, this led to a consensus split. So there was the version or the node versions using level db started accepting a few blocks, while the the clients using Buckler DB were rejecting it, and this sort of caused a chain fork. However, on surface, it should not have happened at all, because the choice of database has nothing to do with your uh, consensus rules. So this was one particular example where this code is spec kind of setup that we have right now started creating problems, but nothing much has been done about it. So this is the problem or the backdrop against which Hornet is being proposed. So Hornet is a way to look at the different things that Bitcoin node does. So in a modular fashion, Bitcoin node does networking, it does mempool policy, it does peer management, storage, indexing, wallet logic, RPC, GUI, logging, time handling, change state management. Like, it does a bunch of stuff, and consensus is just one part of the whole bunch of stuff that Bitcoin node does. However, it's not at all clearly defined, and it's not at all modular. So this is something that Hornet is proposing to solve. What effect, like as we saw the problems that it has created, um, there is also something called as formal verification in computer science, where you express all your uh, conditions or states of your system uh, in a very defined fashion, and then you use these techniques, formal verification techniques, to sort of express or verify what are all the possible states into which your system can go. System means, in our context, the protocol itself or the chain itself. It Formal verification helps us like pinpoint the state of the whole network at any given time, given any conditions. So it is only possible in a deterministic system, and Bitcoin is designed to be a deterministic system, unlike other chains like ETH, where it's all Turing complete and it is completely indeterministic. So, so the formal verification is not possible currently because of all the intertwined nature of the nodes functions. So this is the backdrop on which or in which the Hornet is being proposed. I'll pause for a few moments. If anyone has any questions, please. Cool. Uh, so what does so given this is the problem, what do we do? What do we do? Uh, so so we have to sort of specify what what consensus is. So Hornet tries to do that. Before specifying what consensus is, we should also try to define what consensus is not. So consensus is definitely not database behavior. So consensus has nothing to do with your database. It should also have nothing to do with how you store your chain state or UTXO, etc. But currently, that is the state as the 2013 chain split has shown us. Um, it should also consensus is not related to any implementation choices, and it should also not have any hidden assumptions. So it should be very explicit. Consensus should be explicit. Um, it should also have all the implementation details completely fact away from it, so that in no way or form consensus rules. So, so this is the sort of approach or staging which Hornet bases its work on. So, given this understanding about consensus, Hornet sort of has a architecture of its own. So it has a protocol layer at the base. Then on top of it comes the consensus layer. Then on top of it comes the data layer, and finally the node layer. Um, interacting with this is also a entity called as a UTXO engine. So we'll look into what each of these layers are. So the protocol layer will be the bottommost layer. So the protocol layer defines objects in the network. For example, it defines what is a block, what is a transaction, what is an signature, what is a SHA-256 hash, how do you serialize the data, what are all the scripts, how do you execute the scripts, what is a stack, the rules of the stack, the Bitcoin scripting language. All these things are specified in the protocol layer. Then, however, it is tightly bound. The protocol layer is tightly bound. It has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with what is the chain like, what are all the UTXOs that are present in the present in the network. So those kinds of information are completely abstracted away from the protocol layer. Then on top of it sits the consensus layer. So the consensus layer, as we talked about, will be very clear, declarative, and it will be immutable. That is, it doesn't depend upon anything else. So all that has to do with consensus will be defined in this layer. For example, it will have something called like a validate previous hash function, where it checks whether the previous hash of the uh, of the block that is included in this block is valid. It will also have functions to validate the proof of work, difficulty adjustment, witness, block weight, etc. So similarly, so this is an example of what consensus rules are, and these functions will be well defined within this layer. Within this layer. So that is the consensus layer. Mm. Then you have the data layer. So this is where all your uh, information about the chain structure, metadata, etc., are stored. It uses a database. It can be any database, most likely level DB, and it stores the main chain itself as a flat array, and then all the recent forks or chain splits as a lightweight forest um, a forest structure. Um, so this is how the data of the chain is stored in the data layer. Then you have the UTXO engine itself. So it's again it's slightly different from the data layer. because the UTXO engine is specific to the UTXO set itself, because the operations that you have to do on in UTXO are slightly more complex and performance oriented than that you do in the data layer itself. So it kind of uh, keeps on updating the current state of the chain itself, the UTXO engine. So it has a Hornet envisions it as a engine, not just a layer. So that you can like um, tune it or make it suitable for wherever you want it to operate in. For example, the UTXO engine can be engineered to operate in a separate in a different way when you put it on a memory constrained device like a phone. It can be engineered to operate in a much more uh, expansive or robust fashion when you put it in a highly performing machine like a server, etc. So that's the vision behind defining UTXO engine as something separate. Then you have finally the node layer. So the node layer sits on top. It is nothing but an orchestration of all the layers that are beneath it. So it typically does what a node does. It connects to peers, receives message, schedules work, etc. So it also updates the local state. It interacts with each of the layers below it, and then uh, orchestrates the functions of each of the layers, and serves the Bitcoin network in a very uh, coherent and well defined fashion. So that's about the uh, protocol. That's about the architecture of Hornet. So, uh, anyone have any questions on this? I'll wait a bit.
Yes. Good afternoon or
Yeah,
good
yeah.
evening. So, I'm assuming based on the diagram that interactions comes from the node layer down to the UTXO engine based on the arc direction. Is that how it plays out?
Yeah, it is just the diagram is not like it just explains to you the hierarchy of each of the layer. At the bottom sits the protocol layer. So UTXO engine is something separate which interacts with all the layers. The protocol layer sits at the bottom, and the consensus layer sits on top of the protocol layer, and then the data layer, and then the node layer. So the UTXO engine is something which you can think of as a part that is dependent on all the layers, and the node layer is the one which orchestrates all these layers.
Okay. Okay. The node layer orchestrates all the layers and then the UTXO consumes them. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the aim of the author is to he already has a basic client written, and people can check it out. He's writing all the client in C++, and it is something similar to libbitcoin kernel, which is also an attempt to modularize the Bitcoin core course code itself. However, it is different from libbitcoin kernel because libbitcoin kernel wants to work with the existing code base. It doesn't want to create something new from scratch. However, Hornet is an attempt to write stuffs from scratch. So what would happen if this project matures and it is adopted? Is that it will pave way for a lot of client diversity. because of the modular nature, you can spin up a client of yours with some modifications or changes that you want, uh, very in a very safe way. Right now, spinning up your own client is, I think it's next to impossible, because you have to inherit at least 99% of what core does. Maybe you can tinker around with the edges, but building your own client from the ground up is not possible at all. Only if these sorts of modular projects mature, like Bitcoin kernel or this Hornet. Only if they mature and become widely adopted, you will get to see a lot of client varieties, diversities. So yeah, that's all I had for this week. So if there are no further questions, I think we can call it a day.